Hi, welcome to this viewpoint where I'm going to have a little look at the three different levels. We often talk about the 3 Ps in most cases, and we talk about portfolio, program, and project, right? So what I want to do in this short video is just to give you a bit of a difference, an explanation of the difference, not a long-winded one right now. But there is some key differences between them. First of all, programs and projects are change initiatives that deliver, where the portfolio overall looks at the whole organizational strategy on changes within the company as a whole, right? Now, the thing is that portfolios are there on a permanent basis if you have a portfolio set up in your organization, where programs and projects, they have a start and a finish, they come and go. Although obviously the environment they work in, if you like, the project environment is pretty well permanent. But that is arguably called what we call the portfolio environment. Now, do remember the other thing about portfolio, it oversees the strategy for the organization as a whole from an operations perspective, as well as from a change perspective within a program project environment as well between the two of them. If you watch the video I do on organization, it explains a bit about that actually between the differences where the portfolio sits, and therefore also where project environment sits as opposed to operational environment. Okay, that's why I tend to talk about change initiatives, because we also get change initiatives within the operations, business as usual environment, if you like, as well. Okay, so here's the portfolio sat at the top, looks at it on a yearly basis, what changes have we got in place that may go from one year to another, because sometimes projects go over boundaries between one year and another, because they're big projects, and so will programs quite often. Sometimes programs are quite short. It's just the complexity and the way they need to be handled that are different. It's not because a program is actually longer than a project. Okay, so that's how a portfolio will sit in place, and it can sometimes go across business areas, support other business areas, but it does look at operations as well as the change environment from a formal perspective, where we have governance rigor in place, and we need to keep things offline in a project environment to make sure it's going to work before we let it loose on operations, because operations is where we make the bread and butter, and we don't want to mess that up, do we? Right? So we have programs and projects. Now, sat in the middle, the real delivery comes from a transformational point of view with the program, because it has a lot of complex projects, or a lot of complexity with a series of projects to deliver an overall transformational change. And that could be over months, it could be over a few years. It just depends on the initiative itself. Okay, but at the end of the day, what is a program doing? It's managing a series of projects. In the end, it's the project that does the work. Ironically, it is the project that delivers the output, right? It may deliver an output as a standalone strategic output by itself. It may deliver an output that links up to produce a complete picture. So for example, if you're just doing a relocation, it may be a simple change of just getting a group of one part of the business from one building to another. Right? In some cases, you may be moving a lot of people and a lot of different complex parts of the businesses, and that might be treated as a program, because now we're putting the building together. And that's a different thing altogether. Okay? So all projects will deliver the output, and the output is what's going to deliver the outcome and therefore the benefit. So individually, they will all have their own outputs and therefore ultimately their own benefit. Now, when it becomes to a bigger picture, like we just said, if you're doing a big relocation, like 200 people, which one organization I worked for quite 20 years ago now, moved to a brand new building. We had to put the brand new building up, the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure, the operational infrastructure in place, and then move everybody over during a 3-month period. This is a program of works. Putting a data center together for a telecom company a few years ago was also a program, because a whole pile of different sections run by a series of projects to do the work. And each project was a standalone almost, but it was part of a bigger picture. Sometimes you get sub-programs into bigger programs too. But these all have these all have a fixed time frame, usually of a start and a finish, programs and projects. But it's just the perspective that the program is running a series of projects. The projects do the work, the projects deliver the benefit. The program will deliver an overall benefit as a collective of all the projects run within it. And that's why I put this up here, just to try and give you some idea. But programs and projects are temporary. By their very nature, temporary. Maybe a long temporary, but they are temporary. But they fit underneath the portfolio. And the point about the portfolio there is to actually drive and understand what initiatives do we have in place? What initiatives are relevant to my particular organization at this point in time and into the future for this year and for the next year. So you might be looking at portfolio over 3 or 4 years as well, but on a yearly basis, and even split that up into smaller timeframes. But the portfolio there is more of a permanent structure to help look at the strategic view of the way the organization is running. Right. And again, this is where agility needs to be in, because something needs to change priority within that particular portfolio for that particular time frame. Then the guy sat at the driving level, the directive team need to try and work out, do we need to shift the priority of the projects and the programs within the portfolio? Just as a program would shift the way the projects are being delivered from a priority perspective within the program. Just as projects change the priority of the time boxes and the work packages, and therefore also the way you need to deliver the particular individual products within the project itself too. Right. So again, this is the agility that goes all the way through those levels. And therefore organization and business agility needs to be in place to help drive the portfolio to understand what is it we need to deliver, how do we keep our business sustainable? And this is the bottom line. How do I keep my organization sustainable to be able to go work in the future, to provide work and keep ourselves active as an organization by the way we are running our businesses, and the business supports the organization and the changes in place. Because the business handles the money, the organization looks at the mission in place and the strategy to go about it, and the objectives therefore they need to achieve. So just some food about how these 3 areas work within an organization. And I hope that sort of ironed out a few questions, or brought a few more questions actually, if need be. And thank you.